time for the after show. It's time for the after show. All right, y'all. I'm gonna stand up now. I think I've been sitting down too long. My booty hurts. So
Listen, my lower back, my booty,
do a
my
little
neck, my
stretch.
back, my
My
neck, and
neck
my
is at
back.
my neck. What they used to say? My neck is aching. My belt too tight. My
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 booty
dad used to say
shaking from left to right.
yes. Okay, girl. Let me get it together.
All right.
My booty do hurt. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, that was an awesome interview.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I thank you for introducing him to our
Of
podcast
course, I'm a
and
huge
and
fan.
having him on. I I was just blown away
Yeah.
by his story and the
Hmm.
lessons that he's learned.
Right.
Like it, I think, I don't know, I'm still sitting here trying to process all the points that he shared, right? Like I think about the idea of, and then there was like a question that I want to ask, like, because there was this thing of he now surrounds himself with people who are making money and doing things like him, right? Like
Hmm.
like-minded folks or
Yep.
similar circumstance folks, right?
Yep.
I think the question that like is coming up for me now is okay, so then what happens to, how do you navigate relationships with the people in your community,
Hmm.
right? The people that were there,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, that's a
like
good
how does
one.
that work? What does that look like, right? Because, I know that there are a lot of us who, there are some folks who, like our day ones, who are still around.
Yeah.
And then there are other folks who we're not aligned as friends anymore. And so then those friendships have to be let go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm curious, like, as I'm sitting here processing everything that he shared,
Hmm.
like, how did he navigate that? Which I'm also
Yeah.
wondering too is like, I wonder if I'm curious about, like, is there a gender thing around that too? Because I think guys
Mm.
navigate friendships different than women do.
Interesting. Okay, those are great questions. Okay, we might have an interview number two. I'm
Right?
with it. I think those are great. I will say something that even though I'm not we're still manifesting millions, and it's kind of cool because when you talked about, you
Yes.
know, the documentation that he wished he would have had on his journey, I'm like, oh, it's really dope because we'll have a lot of that because we
Yeah.
started this journey. We were in a very different space when we started the journey, and we've reached a lot of goals and
Yes.
milestones. And I was also talking to my husband about the fact that when the baby's older, she'll be able to see herself on some of the after shows and hear herself on the
Yes.
podcast. And he's like, you guys may have to have her on the guest when she gets older. I'm like, you never know. But anyway, it just makes
Yes.
me think about the documentation, but then also how I've heard from other folks that are like really successful, especially when it comes to the financial and the outward success. Oftentimes the people around you, they change more so than you do. Like you're still trying to exercise and the
Mm.
same energy that you've had, like just still being
Mm-hmm.
who you were, but people see you differently. They see you have money, so they ask for money, or they just see you as, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So I'm curious to know what his answer to that would be too, because I can only
Yeah.
imagine, people seeing or perceiving you to be a certain way, and so they shift up how they show up. I think what was it's so inspiring to me to see these people who are really successful as we're manifesting our personal, just wealth and what that means
Yes.
for us. Seeing people who have already achieved it and how they talk about where they are and how they feel. I really love to dive into those conversations because I think that it puts us closer to the energy of the thing that we want. But then
Yes.
also, I because I feel like I've studied millionaires and billionaires and wealthy people since I was in high school because I've always been very interested in how can
Mm.
I become wealthy to give back to my community and to make sure we don't have
Yeah.
to struggle, because the struggle was just so present in our
Yeah.
lives that I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to figure out how to overcome this. And I found that even though they have all the money, friendships and quality relationships of the utmost importance. Sometimes they put it on the
Yeah.
back burner and they wait and they circle back
Mm-hmm.
around, or sometimes they're on their deathbed and like, damn, wish I would have spent more time with the kids, or wish I would have spent more time investing in trying to, find my companion, or valuing the companionship, in life. And so I think
Mm-hmm.
that what I have gleaned from the wealthy people is that your relationships and quality relationships, especially, are so important no matter how much money you
Yes.
make. And also that what you have does not define you and does not bring happiness.
Yes.
You know, like people often on
Yeah.
social media joke around like, "Oh, I'd rather cry." You know what a pinto is, Dom?
Yes.
I feel like that's such old school slang. I feel like some people
Yes,
may
that
not know what that means.
is.
A
They
pinto,
might not
it's a
know.
lemon. It's a lemon. It's like a bad. It's like
Hmm.
a bad car, right?
Yeah, like an old
Okay,
school. Like
like an
there's
old
like yeah.
school, yeah, like an old school car. Like I'd rather cry in like a beat down car than, oh no, I'm sorry, I'd rather cry in my G wagon or in the Bentley than cry in my beat down car. And while it's like funny to say that and everything, it's just like having the nice things. It really doesn't make you happy. Like you really have to find the
No.
happiness before you get those things. I think that's my goal at least,
Yes.
so that it
And
doesn't, yeah, define me.
and you so there's that piece of it, right? That
That
like you have
piece,
to have the happiness first.
yeah.
But then also there's been a lot of research by economists around there's a certain level of income that in America that folks have to have in order to like be happy, right? So like once they get to that level, then and the happiness based on having basic needs met, right? So you get to that level and then like and I read like when I read it, I was already living here in the Bay Area and I looked at that number and I was like, well, we need to adjust for Bay Area, right?
Yeah,
Like that number needs to be seriously inflated. But
right.
I think the reality of it is that yes, there's like a certain level that we all need to just survive,
Yeah.
right? And then after that, thriving. But I love what Abu pointed out around you could have, it's about how you budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
How you could have someone who's making millions and they could still be broke
Yep.
because of
Yeah.
how and unhappy because of
Yeah.
how they are spending and what their intentions are and what their spirit is about.
Yep. That makes me think about a conversation we had with Constance Carter a while
Yes.
back, and she talked about how she was
Hmm.
making six figures but was still struggling because she didn't really know how to manage her money. That was a good conversation. It also makes me think of the conversation we had with Sophia. Is it Sophia? I forgot Sophia's last name. Is
Yes.
it Green Taylor? Sophia, about money
Yeah.
too. So yeah, good gems. I can't wait to listen to this episode and soak in more of the insight and share it with everyone else.
Yes.